Hello, this is my book review for Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway. And I'm pretty sure this is my fourth Hemingway book and probably the last one because some of the other topics are just about trips that he took and things of that nature. This is the second war book that I've read. The first one what was it called? I had it in my head and I just lost it. Um, A Farewell to Arms. I read The Sun Also Rises, which was um, the bullfighting book. The Old Man of the Sea, which is short but awesome. And this is a very good book also. Um, the other war book was very bleak and it left me distraught. It was very well written, Farewell to Arms, but you got to the end of that and it was like, oh, what it is to read. I was so depressed. This one is dark, but it's not as dark as that. And you learn a lot about the nature of war from a person that was reporting in the Spanish conflict over there. And yet, the most interesting part at the very beginning is the history, which I didn't know. A lot of people growing up in the 70s, like I did, think of Europe as all free. And in your mind, you probably think that they've been free for thousands of years. And that's not true because Spain did not become free again until 1975. And they were free prior to that, and a dictator took over between 1936 and 39, right around the time of Hitler rising to power. And this guy Franco was a Hitler appeaser who allowed Hitler to roam through Spain and take territory and refuge there while he did his bad deeds to other countries. So Franco, jerk, died in 75, and then they reverted back to democracy. So I didn't know any of that, and I'm glad I read it strictly for that historical perspective. But another tie-in that's kind of interesting is this is a Metallica song that maybe a lot of people know, and a lot of the lyrics directly reflect this book as far as I can tell. So like For a Hill Men Would Kill, Why They Do Not Know, a lot of that in this. You had a group of people kind of hiding on the hill, and I'm not going to give a lot of spoilers here, but they're hiding on the hill from the fascists, and the idea is we got to fight the fascists and kill fascists. And then they go a lot into personal kind of ethics about what it means to kill another person and how it affects you and the different responses from different people. And that's a certain percentage of them are gleefully happy to kill people, and then some really feel bad about it. There was one excerpt where a guy said that God had left Spain basically because of this. There was nothing good happening in Spain. And at the end of the conflict, when it was over, if he managed to survive, he hoped that the government would pass some kind of a project that he could be involved with, that after completing the project, he would be absolved of all his wrongdoings through the war. So almost like a forgiveness through a governmental program, which is a crazy idea. But if you truly believe God is not in your country and that he can't forgive you for what you've done, then I guess you have to create another avenue if you feel guilty. And that's what that guy did. But the main thread of the story is basically one of these guys that's been assigned to blow up a bridge. And he finds a girl that he falls for, and they really start to think about plans of the future. And then you get to see how that plays out at the end. As you can imagine, it's you could tell there's going to be a tragedy of some sort. I won't tell you what it is, so you can read this and find it out for yourself. But yeah, there is a tragedy involved, and the ending is open-ended, so you can assume the worst or maybe have a glimmer of hope that things turned out differently, but it doesn't tell you. So you kind of have to just accept it for what it is. But that said, it's a really good book because it does have a lot of the ethical discussions on war and what it means to a person rather than a country or a military or something of that sort. It was, if you're in that situation, what would your thoughts be? A lot of it. And they have open air discussions. At some point, one guy's asking another guy how many people he's killed, and he's telling him stories about it. And then he's finally like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. And it was pretty interesting. You could tell Hemingway must have had a lot of conversations with people while he was involved in his military reporting. And it just seems like a fly on the walls view of what these people were going through, and how they really didn't understand what any of it meant. They're just playing a part in a play kind of thing. It's really weird. You go back in the history and these, I mean, we're hyper informed in our generation with the internet, and there's a lot of things you can read and learn. And of course, a lot of people don't bother to anymore, which is very troubling. You get the same scenarios going over and over and over because people refuse to learn from history. But with the access to information that we have now, when you read these books of the past and they didn't have the information that we have, they were really just didn't know what was going on at all. They're just trying to live, don't know why they're shooting their brother, or, you know, what big picture. The one person said, well, you have to do something bad to prevent something worse. And that would be like the takeover of the government, right? So it was easy to kill somebody if you label somebody as a fascist, then they weren't a human being like anymore. And that's a lot of war propaganda. It's typical, is you have to label somebody on the other side, which is going on in America too. With you always hear the Fox News channel, they always complain about liberals, and all y'all got to understand that we're all humans first, and then Americans second, and then put those labels aside unless you want to be involved in a military conflict that is really, really, really bad. These people went through it, and after they had to put down a fellow brother that was wearing a different uniform or whatever, they're not happy about it. It is not gleeful unless you're a sociopath. So all these people that want to fight all the time, this is where it goes, and you don't want to go there. So good to read these things and understand the true implications of fighting in war. They're not good. But this book is a very good representation of what they went through at that time and why you shouldn't want to go through it again.